start our class. So I take this opportunity to welcome you. This is communication and written skills or written communication. And today we are looking at topic 10, which is memo and minutes writing. For those who are joining us for the first time, my name is David Maina. So today we are going to look at two documents. Just like I've been looking at two documents from topic 8. So the first topic I looked at letter writing and CV writing. Second one, I looked at reports writing. And the third one, which is today's topic, I'm going to look at memo and minutes. Memo and minutes. So what is a memo? Memo is intended to inform a group of people about specific issues, such as an event, such as a policy or resource, and it encourages them to take an action. The word memorandum, it means something that should be remembered or kept in mind. When we write memos, we write to people, remind them of something. You write a memo, you write, for example, if you are going to have a meeting next week, a day like today, with my students, then I can write a memo to them. When you write a memo, you write only people who are below you. What do I mean by people who are below you? In terms of authority, you don't write a memo to your boss, to someone who is senior than you. For example, if I was to write a memo, I will write a memo to my students, then copy my senior. But I cannot write a memo to my senior. My seniors are the ones that will write a memo to me. Or write a memo to a group of people who are below them. So a memo is specifically meant to make you keep in mind that there will be a meeting at a specific day, at a specific place. A memo, when they are written, call you for a meeting, they also have the agenda of the meeting. So you know the reason why a meeting has been called on. You cannot write a memo to warn. You cannot write a memo to warn people. No. So answer warning letters. You write a warning letter or a warning, warn a group of people. You cannot write a memo to appreciate someone. Memo is something intended to inform a group of people about specific issues, such as an event or a policy or a resource, and then encourage them to take an action. For example, if you have a tendency of going to an organization late, you are chronic latecomer. Is it a chronic latecomer, or we call it something like that? Then a boss may write you a memo to warn you. May write you a memo even to explain why you come to work late. Secondly, how to write a memo. How do we write a memo? Number one, we start with writing the headline, the heading segment. The heading segment simply specifies who the memo is for and who sent it. This heading segment should also include the complete and exact date the memo was written. Example, if the memo was written yesterday, it should have yesterday's date, even if you are sending it today. So if the memo you have been written today, then it should have today's date. I hope you have understood that. Let me repeat again. If the memo was written yesterday, it should have yesterday's date if you are to send it today. If you have written the memo today, then it should have today's date, then send it today. If you are of course going to send it today. And the subject matter, what the memo is about. A sample heading of a memo would look like this. Who is where it is going. It's going to, maybe for example, from the employees or the staff, or XYZ staff. From, you need to know where the memo is coming from. It is coming from David Maina, the HR manager. Date, you need to put the date when the memo was written, when the memo was sent. If the memo was written yesterday and it is being sent today, then it should have yesterday's date. So complete date when the memo was written. It must also have what we call the subject. Why are you writing the memo? Subject may be, maybe for example, delay of salaries. Or maybe for example, the subject might be dress code, official dress code. Maybe the HR has realized that employees not adhering to the dress code of the organization. Sometimes they are wearing, or they wear what we call casual, and it is on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday. So then the HR may write a memo to all the employees, telling them of the importance of, actually telling them that that it has come to her attention or his attention that the employees are not adhering to the dress code, the organization. Of course, telling them the importance of adhering to the dress code, the organization, and also an action that will be taken if at all you will be found flouting those rules. Again, he may also remind you of the kind of dress code you should wear, because the memo can be accompanied by a picture or some guidelines. So that is what we call a sample headline. A sample heading will have two, from, date, and subject. Number two, consider who the audience should be when you're writing a memo. You must know, who am I writing the memo to? Am I writing the memo to technical staff? Am I writing the memo to the managers? Because even managers can written, a memo can be written to the managers. For example, CEO can write a memo to managers, telling them that we are going to have our meeting, our annual general meeting in Mombasa. So prepare yourself. In order to get people to read and respond to the memo, then it is important to tailor the tone, the way you speak, because people can know whether you are happy or you are angry. For example, when you say it is a must, everybody must, there is no tone that you are going to leave unturned. That tone is not good. Also, it is important to tailor the what, to the length, the level of formality, the memo, the audience who will be reading it. It is important to consider who the audience should be, so that you can know kind of language, the length, and so on, you're going to use or to tailor your memo. Number three, introduce the problem or issues to your readers in the opening segment. For example, the employees are not adhering to the dress code in the organization or of the organization, then you can tell them, it has come to my attention that some of the employees are not adhering to the dress code of the organization, to the official dress code of the organization. Briefly, give them the context behind the action you wish them to take. This is somewhat like a thesis statement, which introduces the topic and states why it matters. Include only as much information as it is needed, while still being convincing that a real problem exists. For example, if it is a salary delay due to system maintenance, introduce that problem or issue to your reader. We wish to inform you that this year, this month, we are going to experience day of salary due to system maintenance. Then you tell them why maintain the system at that particular time. Why now? Why did you maintain the systems before so that our salary is not affected by the systems? Those are the kind of things you're doing. Number 4, suggest ways to address the issues in a summary segment. You have told these people there will be salary delay. Suggest ways to address those issues so that they do not recur in future. The employees are not adhering to the dress code, the organization. Suggest ways to address those issues. So what you are summarizing here are the key actions you would like the readers to take. Tell them the importance of dress code. This can also include some evidence to back your recommendations. If you have evidence, you can say, especially the department XYZ department, this department don't adhere to dress code at all from Monday to Friday. In a very short memo, it might not be necessary to include separate summary segment. So if your memo is 1 page, you may not have what we call summary segment. Instead, it can be integrated into next segment, the discussion segment. There is another segment called the discussion segment. Number 5, support your course of action, the discussion segment. Why would you take that action? Employees are not going to come to adhere to the dress code. Why take that action? For example, you're going to expel them. Maybe, for example, you're going to do this to them. Support your course of action. Be very persuasive, persuade them, state how the readers will benefit from taking the action you recommend, or disadvantage through the action, through the lack of action. Give evidence and logical reasons for the solutions you propose. Here, you feel free to include graphics, and include pictures. You can include a list of people, and even charts. For example, if this is a university and they are planning for a graduation, of course, there are those students who have maybe paid the graduation fee, they have even paid the gown fee, and so on and so forth. And maybe you write a memo to the students, telling them that these are the people who will graduate because they have met all the requirements. You can include a list of people who have met all the requirements and a list of people who will be graduating that particular month or that particular year. So you can include a list Example, if you are talking about dress code, you can write a memo, then that memo can include graphics or pictures so that employees can know how to dress. Because people usually think that the way they dress, they are dressing appropriately. And somebody might ask you, what is an appropriate dressing? So you might include pictures, the employees, to tell them that this is how you are expected to dress. This kind of dressing is not allowed in this organization. So include graphics, include pictures, include charts if necessary. So here we are being told, be sure that they are truly relevant and persuasive. Be sure that those pictures that you're including, that list that you're including, that graphics or those graphics that you're including, those charts that you're including must be, make sure that they are truly relevant and they are persuasive, or they support your course of action. So start with the most important information, then move to specific or supporting facts. Point number 6, review and edit your memo to make sure that it is clear, concise, persuasive, and free of errors. So if you have written a memo, make sure that it is free of errors. For example, check the date. The people who are fond of, because you wrote a memo last month, you go and pick the one that you wrote last month to edit. Because you wrote a memo this week, you go and pick the one that you wrote this week to edit. Sometimes it is good to check the date and the year. Today, for example, it is 11th July 2024. Maybe the memo that you wrote was maybe 9th January 2022. So if you only edit the date 9, it will remain January 2023. Then when you send the memo, people will look at the date. They will say, this memo, there is no cause for action or cause for alarm. This is an old memo. Check the date, check the names of people. Also avoid writing jargons and technical words. Avoid those things. The main purpose of a memo is to pass information, and in a simpler and in an understanding way. Point A, we are being told review for spelling, grammars, and content errors. Pay particular attention to names. If you are writing a memo and you have CC'd, say for example, the campus director and his name is Josephine Magu, you have written Jane. That one is not right, Jane Magwe. So pay particular attention to names, pay particular attention to dates. Also pay attention to numbers. You may be willing to say that 1,200 people will be graduating. 1,200 people. So you end up writing 10,200 people. So pay particular attention to numbers also. Check that it is not excessively long. Cut out any extraneous material. Memo should not be long. Generally, memos are not long. Generally, they are not long. We have long memos. So make sure that it is not excessively long. If possible, cut out any extraneous material. Those things that are not adding any value, remove them. Next thing, see, feel free to include a list. I told you this. If it is possible, include charts. You feel that we should include graphic or graphs, go ahead. At the end of the memo, why are you including all these things? It's to reinforce your message. It's to make your message be understood better. People, when they look at lists, at graphics, at pictures, they feel they get the message that is being passed across. It reinforces the importance of your message. So make sure add a notation of how the attachments are relevant. If it is possible, you can make or you can add a notation. Tell the people that the above attachment is important because we need to know who will be graduating. Point number D, we are being told, don't give too many whys. Don't give too many reasons. It is important to explain why you want something done. Don't overdo it. When you overdo something, it becomes what? It becomes useless. People will not see the importance. Like for example, if you keep on telling people the importance of something, the importance, to get to a point that they will actually see you as a joker. Do not see the importance of what you are telling them. So don't overdo, don't give too many whys, because if you overdo something, people might not even take it seriously. Actually, people will actually see as if you are trying to push them to something that is not important. Now, that is how you write a memo. I've looked at how you write a memo. I'll be sharing a memo right now so that you know what we are talking about here. I hope you can see that screen. So this memo, look at it. This is a sample. And sometimes a memo can be written on a letterhead. Write a memo on a letterhead. Letterhead is those organizations that you'll find that there is the logo of the university, the contacts of the university, the contacts of the organization, and so on and so forth. So that is called a letterhead. A letterhead shows that this is a document from a certain organization. But there are those organizations that do not have letterheads, and you just write a memo on a piece of paper. Now, when you look at this memo, okay, it doesn't matter the structure that you will take. For example, we have from to here, then we have reference, then we have date. On my right, we have reference, then we have the date. Then from my left and to my left. You can also decide how you are going to put them. If you decide that all of them will go on your left, it's okay. If you decide that all of them will be at the middle, it is okay. You decide that all of them, for example, if you decide that all of them will be on the left or on the right or in the middle, or some on the middle, some on the left and some on the right. It's up to you, as long as they are not missing. So when you ask me about the right structure of a memo, I think it's up to you, because organizations also have their way they write a memo. you go to a specific organization, you'll find that this is how they write their memo. There are key things that will not miss in their memo. Like, for example, there will be from, there will be to, there will be date. Sometimes will also be reference. Reference is not that important. Reference is important to those organizations that will want to keep the memo in a file for later what? Retrieval. Reference, you might not find it in some memo, but it is also important. It's also important for those organizations that keep them as records for future reference. Records for future reference. For example, we can see here we have from, to, reference, and the date. The memo is coming from the registrar academics to all the students. Reference is this one, the date is this one. Then we have the subject. Why are you writing the memo to the students? Because we have to suspend face-to-face classes due to COVID-19. Then we start giving the reasons. In order to limit opportunities for transmission of coronavirus, comply with the presidential directives on temporary closure of universities and colleges to allow social distancing, the University's Senate has resolved to suspend face-to-face classes from 17th March to 17th April 2020. We continue to monitor new development and will keep you updated appropriately. This is the body of the memo. As I said, memo can be a longer one, but at the same time, it can be a shorter one, depending on what you want to pass across. So when you look at this memo, it has given you everything that you want to know. For example, during this period, learners will continue via online and other alternative instructional. Students should contact respective unit lecturers for specific guidance on or before 1 p.m. this date. University's examination for this January to April 2020 will be rescheduled to commence immediately on resumption. Then, for any inquiry, if there is anything that has not been captured in the memo, you are actually told to contact those numbers. Then, who wrote the memo is this person, registrar academic. It should be here, registrar academics, his name. Then you can have the people that have been carbon copied. We have the UMB, the campus director, the head of department, and IT manager. BC simply means carbon copied. We also have BCC. BCC means what? Blind courtesy copy. Not blind carbon copy. It is blind courtesy copy. BCC means what? Carbon copy. No, yeah, carbon copy. Carbon copied. These people have been copied this memo. This memo has been sent to them. Having said that, let's go back to our presentation. We go to the next thing, and the next item is what we call minutes. Minutes of meeting. Now, minutes, they are also known as protocols. And these are informally notes that are their instant written records of a meeting or a hearing. They typically describe the events of the meeting, starting with the list of attendees, a statement of the issue considered by the participant, related response or decisions for the issues. In other words, when you talk about minutes, most of the time, the reason why today I have focused on memo and minutes, these two documents, they go hand in hand. You look at a memo is written to inform people of a meeting that will be taking place. Memo is written to tell you in advance we shall be having a meeting on this specific date at a particular place, and the agenda of the meeting will be A, B, C, D, E, F. Once you send the memo to the people, then when that day comes, there will be a meeting. In that meeting, when you meet at that specific place, minutes will be taken. Minutes are records of the meeting. If a certain issue was raised in a meeting, it should be recorded in the minutes. If people said this about something, it should be recorded in the minutes. So minutes are records of a meeting. And minutes, they are recorded by typist or the secretary. These minutes, you can record them with a video, you can video record them, you can audio record them, or you can write them in shorthand. Shorthand is writing them in shorthand because this is something that is going on. It's difficult to write everything that is being said. You can write in shorthand. Then once the meeting is over, as the secretary, you go sit down immediately, write full minutes. Then after writing these minutes, you circulate them to the members. Those members who are absent with apology, those members who are absent without apology, whether they were present. As long as they are members, you circulate the minutes. You can do physical circulation, you can circulate through emails. That's right. You just attach them on the email and you send them. So we continue. So minutes may be created, this is what we have said. Minutes may be created during the meeting by a typist who may use shorthand notation, and then prepare the minutes and issue them to the participants afterward. Alternatively, the meeting can be audio recorded, it can be video recorded. There are groups appointed or informally assigned, secretary may take notes within the minutes prepared later. Yes, that's what we have said. That's what we have said. And we move on. Publicly held companies are generally required to keep minutes of the proceedings of, number one, general meetings. If there is a general meeting that took place, publicly held companies should keep minutes of general meeting. But two, they should keep minutes of meeting of board of directors. The board of directors meet publicly held company, write minutes and keep minutes of meetings of the board of directors. Number three, they should keep minutes of the meetings of committee of the board of directors. If there is a meeting of the committee of the board of directors taking place, then the secretary should write minutes of that meeting. The minutes become the official written record for an organization required to hold public meetings, governmental hearings. That is it. Minutes are very important. Minutes are very important. For example, even in government, remember this thing called Kazi kwa Vijana. Kazi kwa Vijana is an initiative whereby the young men come together, they realize that they can do something. They can farm what we call they can do rice farming. They can do cattle farming, rearing, or chicken rearing. They don't have funds. So they are required to write a business plan. After writing a business plan, they are required also to do what? Write minutes. Once you write minutes that you have met with these people and these are the issues that you deliberated on, then you are supposed to attach the minutes on business plan that you met, you elected so and so to be the secretary, elected so and so to be the treasurer, you elected so and so to be the chairman, elected so and so to be the secretary, and so on and so forth, assistant secretary, assistant chairman. Minutes are very important. Without minutes, if you are going for the youth fund, you will not get them because they want to see whether you met, you discussed, you appointed members through an official meeting. So let's continue. And now we are going to the importance of minutes. One is record of proceedings. Minutes provide an official written record of what transpired during a meeting. If people said that we are supposed to have what we call, we need to vote someone in as a secretary, then include who said that, how the voting was done, and who was elected to be the chairman in that particular meeting. So they document decisions made. For example, these were the decisions that were made concerning maybe a trip. These were the actions that were taken. And these were the topics that were discussed, which is essential for accountability and for future reference. Number two importance of minutes is they can be used for legal protection. So minutes can serve as a legal evidence that a meeting took place and that decisions were made in accordance with bylaws or other governing documents. They can protect the organization in case of disputes or litigations. And this one, I can give you an example. So where I stay, there is a high school behind me. And in this high school, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, the NMS, decided to come and drill a borehole there for the school to get water from the borehole. And when the school got some water, it was recommended that even the community can use that water. All you need to do is to look for a way in which you can access the water so that you can pipe the water so that you can also get them in your compound or in your homes. People did whatever they did, and the people had water. It serves a whole community. Water serves the whole community. So that is an initiative of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. So people were enjoying water. They enjoyed the water for free, and it was good. Then a time came when there was what we call the power surge, blackout, and when the power was returning back, it returned with a lot of power. Then the pump blew out. I don't know, it affected the pump. The point that this pump that does what we call pumps water, it was affected. To repair the pump, it was required that repair the pump, it was very expensive, and it was amounting to 600,000. What happened is we stayed for a very long time without water. And people started suggesting, can we, every community member who benefits from this water, at least contribute 500, of which there are more than 200 homes. We can repair that what pump. And people decided that one it's not a problem. We can contribute 500 each and repair the pump. So the representative, those who went to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services Office, they went and said that the community wants to repair the pump. They said there is no problem for the community to repair the pump. The question is, have you had any meeting? And if you have any meeting, are there minutes to show that the people have accepted contribute 500 shillings? Because you may do that and people may take you to court for collecting money legally. Apart from that, do we have representatives? Do we have chairman? Do we have a constituted group? Like, for example, do we have a chairman? Do we have a secretary? Do we have A, B, C, D? These people, are they there? So that is how they were. I mean, those are the questions they were asked. Then they were told you cannot do that. Because if you do that, members of the community can go and sue you for collecting money legally from them. So let Nairobi Metropolitan do its work. Once it does that, you can constitute a group, formal group. And anytime you have meetings, let us have the minutes of the meeting. So in other words, I'm telling you, minutes are very important, because without minutes, you can find yourself in a very, very compromising situation when it comes to legal protection. So that is it. Next thing is it offers transparency and accountability. So by recording discussions and decisions, minutes promote transparency within the organization. We help ensure that stakeholders are informed about organization's operations and decisions, fostering trust and accountability. Number 4, it brings about reference. It can be used as a reference to absentees. Those people who did not come to the meeting can be given a copy. Remember, the secretary will write the minutes. After writing the minutes, will distribute to all the members, whether you are absent with apology, whether you are absent without apology, whether you are present or whether you are in attendance. The secretary will distribute the minutes to them. So it acts as a reference to those who were absent that particular meeting. Number 5, minutes often include action items with assigned responsibility and deadlines. For example, if we have formed a meeting, for example, it's a graduation meeting, people are given what we call responsibilities. There are those people who will go and secure gowns, and they are given a deadline. Make sure that those gowns are here within time, within the specified period of time. There are those people who will go and secure, say, for example, seats. They are given a responsibility to go and secure seats. There are those who will be responsible for, if there will be meals, who will be responsible for making sure that there are meals, and so on and so forth. So when we do what we have minutes, they include action items with assigned responsibilities and deadlines. So people are given responsibilities and deadlines. And this helps to ensure that tasks are tackled, tracked and completed, contributed to efficient progress of projects. Number 6, it can be used as a historical record. When you write minutes, you can store them for future reference. Number 7, For many organizations, especially non-profits and public companies, keeping accurate minutes is a legal requirement. It is a legal requirement for any organization, public, and even private. It's very important that you keep minutes. Compliance with these regulations can prevent fines and other penalties. Point number 8, minutes verify that certain decisions were made, which can be critical for contract negotiations. It's important to know certain decisions we met as a committee. This is what we discussed concerning something. And lastly, number 9 and 10, minutes helps maintain organization memory by documenting the rationale behind decisions, context of decisions, the evolution of policies and strategies. And lastly, stakeholder communication, that for organizations practicing stakeholder theory, minutes can serve as a tool to communicate with various stakeholders, providing them with insight into the organization's decision-making processes, ensuring their concerns, interests are addressed. Now, these are the steps to writing minutes. Number 1, you need to plan in advance. Planning in advance. By your planning. Number 2 is record the date, the time, the name of the participant. We're going to look at an example of minutes. So you need to record the date, the time, names, the participants. Number 3, you need to write the meeting notes. Or in the meeting, the secretary writes the minutes. And then lastly, share the minutes promptly to the people, to the members, whether they were absent, whether they were present. He shares or she shares the minutes promptly. So once the meeting is over, it is time to pull together your notes and write the minutes. That one we have said. Try to write minutes as soon after the meeting is over, as soon as possible. Why? Because if you wait until 2 days, 3 days are over, you may not even remember who said what. Immediately the meeting is over, as the secretary, go sit down on your computer, write the minute, because at least at that time, everything is fresh in your mind. If you don't do that, you may forget, and you may write something that is not true about what happened. So review your outline if necessary, add additional notes, or clarify points raised. If you cannot remember what so and so said in the meeting, call them. Call another person who was in the meeting. Ask them, what did so and so say about this particular issue? Then he will be able to clarify at that specific time. Then check for sufficient details. Don't check for sufficient details. Now, meeting minutes usually include the following. Number 1, we need time, date, and location. This one, we will find them in the headline. The headline should have the time the meeting is taking place. It should have the date. It should have the location. And it should have the year. It should have all attendees, those who attended the meeting, for example, present, absent, with apologies, and absent. And if there were 1,000 people, you have to list them. Those who are absent, there were 1,000 people. Those who are present, there were 1,000 people. Those who are absent with apology, there were 1,000 people. You need to include their names. It must be approved for approval previous minutes. Approval of previous minutes. Now, there is something that I want to explain here about approval of the previous minutes. Approval of the previous minutes can only be done if at all this is your second, your third, your fourth, or your fifth, or your seventh, your 1,000th time a meeting. But if you are meeting for the first time, there is no previous minutes. Previous minutes only occur if you are meeting for the second, the third, or the fourth, or even the fifth time. If you are meeting for the first time, we do not have minutes, so we cannot approve them. How is it done? The chairman will read the minutes. Maybe we met last week. Chairman reads the minutes. Once he reads the minutes, the members in a meeting, maybe we had a meeting last week, we have met this week again. So the chairman will read the previous minutes, the members present in this current meeting. Once he reads the minutes, they are proposed and they are seconded by 2 members in the meeting. 1 member in the meeting will propose, the other member will second. Proposing and seconding is actually trying to tell us that they do what? They approve the minutes as the true records, that everything that is captured or that was captured, that minute is actually what was discussed. Nothing was missed out. Once that is done, the secretary signs the minutes and writes the date. Same case, the chairman signs the minutes, writes his name, signs the minutes, and indicates the date. Now those minutes, they go into file for storage. But after that, the meeting continues now. So action items, things that we said we are going to, maybe for example, what we said, action items are things that needs an action be taken. Announcements, if there are announcements, then you need to include in a minute the next meeting date. For example, if the meeting has ended today, it is the role of the chairman to tell the people that we will meet next week, next month, day like 4 p.m. Even include the room if possible. You can actually say that details will be provided about where we will meet, but we are going to meet at a particular time, for example, at 4 or even at 2. Then there is signing off, signature. Having said that, I think we should look at an example of minutes so that at least we see those things that we've talked about. So that is the minutes. You can see it. You can raise your hand. You can comment there. If you can see my screen. So that is the minutes. Let me increase the font. When you look at these minutes, you can see minutes of the meeting. We need to know that those are minutes of the meeting. Of what? The organization is Young Farmers Hub. Where is it held? Held in the agriculture room. It has got the date, 13th January 2020. It has got the time, 2 p.m. So those are the key things we look at. So the minutes, the meeting. We need to know that these are minutes of Young Farmers Club, and the venue, and the date, and the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, very important. When you start your minutes, you need to include the members who are present. Members who are present, even if there were 100 members, you have to list them down. And of course, their title. Example, Sifuna Njoroge is the chairman. Abdi Mohammed is the vice chairman. Sarah Salim is the treasurer. Brenda Momanyi is the secretary. Opio maybe is simply an ordinary staff. So you write staff. Maybe, for example, Jane Wayaki is also an ordinary staff. Lilian Chalo is also an ordinary staff. And we also have Alice Moende, another ordinary staff. And Jackson Wamai, another ordinary staff. So it's good to include title of those people. Once you do that, the next group of people are members who are absent with apology. At least they realized that there is a meeting. They had an apology to give regarding that meeting. So they gave an apology. So members absent with apology is another list of people. We have Daudi Salim, Mary Wandie, Tomo. These are members with apology. And of course, there are those who decided we will not come to the meeting, we will not give any apology. So these are Joseph Owiti, Richard Wambo. These are the people who decided that we are not going to do what? Give an apology, they will not attend that meeting. There is also other members in attendance. Attendance are people that have come to the meeting. They are not members of the meeting. They are not the members in that particular meeting. These people might be, for example, the Minister of Agriculture, can also be agricultural officer, can be the chief, the DO, even the MP, or even the minister, and so on and so forth. They are not members of that group, but you have invited them to come to your meeting. They are called in attendance. And from there, the next thing is agenda. What is the agenda? So you list all the agendas, even if there are 20 agendas that are going to be discussed in that particular meeting. List all the agendas there. You can see the agenda is preliminaries, reading and confirmation of the previous minutes. For example, if you are having your meeting for the first time, reading and confirmation of the previous minutes should not be there. What does that tell you about these minutes? There was a meeting that was done for this one. If it is the first thing, the first meeting, then reading and confirmation of the previous minutes should not be there. If it is the second time or the third or even the fifth time you are meeting, then we need to read and confirm the previous minutes, whether they are true records or not. And there is what we call matters arising from the previous minutes. We also have agricultural visit, Nairobi show, agenda number 5. We also have any other business. Any other business is any other thing apart from what we have discussed. You can actually say any other business can be, we need to have snacks. When we are having these meetings, let us be having snacks and tea. That is any other business. There is also what we call adjournment. Adjournment is ending the meeting. How was the meeting ended? It was ended with a word of prayer from XYZ. We will look at that, how it is done. When you're tackling agenda 1 preliminary, start by putting min1/1. Now, this one is you to come with a creative way of putting it. For example, somebody there can decide to put it like this. You may decide to say this. You may decide to say min, or you can actually say, min what? You look at today's date. Today's date is 11, mean today's date is 11, and 11, the year is 2024. So you may say min 11, 2024. You can call it like that, or min 1, minute 1, 11, 2024 is okay. So here, it's up to you to come up with a creative way of distinguishing the minutes, the agendas. So the preliminary, here you tell us how the meeting started. So here you can see the meeting started at 2 p.m. The chairman welcomed members back from the Christmas holiday. He invited Brenda Momanyi to lead with a word of prayer. To talk about Brenda Momanyi, you should be very careful because you may pick Brenda Momanyi and maybe Brenda Momanyi is a member absent with apology. So Brenda Momanyi is the secretary. So he started, the meeting started with a word of prayer from the secretary. Then we go to number 2, reading and confirmation of the previous minutes. We said you can change this to become, you can come up with a creative format. Minute 2 is agenda 2, reading and confirmation of the previous minutes. I want us to read this. Minutes of the previous meeting are read through and proposed by Okech Opio. Okech Opio must be a member present. Who is Okech Opio? Okech Opio is here. He's a staff. That's an ordinary staff. As the recording of the meeting, they were then seconded by Jane Wayaki. This is Jane Wayaki. Jane Wayaki must be a member present. Jane Wayaki is a staff, an ordinary staff. That one we check. Example, if you put Jane Wayaki and Jane Wayaki was a member absent with apology or a member absent, then whatever records you are writing for us are not true records. Then we go to agenda 3, matters arising from the previous minute. What matters were arising? You can see. These are the matters arising. You can see they have been given a different number. Given different numbers. Like the other one starts with min 3/20. Like this one is min 1/11, min 2/20, min 3/20. These ones are not starting with min 1, min 2, min 3, starting with 48/19. These are matters arising. Then we go to minute 4, agricultural visit. That's how you write your minute. We go to minute 5. Minute 5 is Nairobi show. What did they say about it? Then we go to minute 6, or agenda 6, any other business. Any other business is here. The last one is agenda 7, adjournment. which is here. Agenda 7 becomes min 7. So this is how you end your minutes, or your minutes actually. There being no other business, the meeting was adjourned at 4 p.m. with a closing prayer by Lilian Chalo. Lilian Chalo must be a member present. So we go to members present. Or Lilian Chalo is just an ordinary staff. And then the next meeting will be held on 20th March in the school hall at 10 a.m. You see, you have to, as a secretary, you need to, the chairman, you need to propose when the next meeting will take place. So then there is this section, which requires the chairman sign and put the date. And this one, you only put the date if the minutes have been read and they have been confirmed as the true records that particular meeting. Now, this one is not done immediately in that current meeting. This one will be done in the next meeting, because they will be read to the people and people will confirm as either they are true records or not true records. If, for example, you captured the minutes only as a secretary, maybe you said that members agreed to contribute 200 shillings every month. When you are reading the minutes, the minutes of the previous meeting, people may raise hand and say, oh, we did not agree on 200, we agreed on 250 shillings. So kindly correct that. We agreed 250 shillings. So that is the reason why minutes are read to the members, so that they can approve them as either true record or not true record. So if there are things that are missing, members will raise their hands and say, that is not what we said. We said this and this. That is why when, if you are a secretary, it is important that once you have written the meeting and minutes and the meeting is over, just go and sit down and write them immediately. Write the minutes immediately so that you don't forget, because your brain or your mind is very fresh. And if there is anything you need to clarify, all the people involved will be able to clarify for you, so that when you're presenting the minutes will be read in the previous minute. When the minutes will be read in the next meeting, the chairman, it's the chairman who reads the minutes. When the chairman reads the minutes, then will be the true record. There will be nothing that has been missed. Everything will be accurate as it was. So having said that, I think having said that, I think that marks the end of today's lesson, unless there is a question. Unless there are questions, we'll stop at that point.